Your life is not in disorder because time has betrayed you. It is in disorder because your mind has not yet been trained to direct time with purpose. The difference between the man whose life moves forward and the man whose life remains confused is not luck, nor talent, nor circumstance. It is order. Not merely the order of papers, schedules, and appointments, but the deeper order of thought, desire, decision, and action. Every wasted hour has a cause. Every delay has a cause. Every broken promise, every unfinished task, every dream left wandering in the distance can be traced to one thing: the absence of organized thought. The undisciplined mind produces confusion. The organized mind produces power, and power rightly directed produces achievement. You have said many times, "I will begin tomorrow." But tomorrow is not a place, it is a decision postponed. The man who waits for perfect conditions waits forever. The man who organizes his thinking begins where he stands and uses what he has. Discipline is not bondage, it is the doorway to freedom. Until you govern your thoughts, you will not govern your time. Until you govern your time, you will not govern your results. All enduring success moves according to law. Every great achievement is first created in thought, then arranged in plan, then brought to life through disciplined action. You are not failing because you lack ability. You are failing, perhaps, because your powers have not been brought into harmony. When your thoughts are scattered, your days become scattered. When your purpose is clear, your life begins to fall into line. Imagine waking each morning with calm certainty. Imagine knowing what must be done, why it must be done, and what result it is moving you toward. That kind of clarity is not accidental. It is created. It is earned through organized living. The man who organizes his life does not necessarily live faster, but he lives with greater force. His time serves him. His energy obeys him. His actions multiply in value because they flow from definiteness of purpose. You must understand this truth. Chaos is not your enemy. It is the condition that reveals whether you are master of your mind or servant to it. The moment you bring order to your thinking, your circumstances begin to change. Your work changes. Your finances change, your relationships change, even your peace of mind changes. Life responds to clarity because clarity is evidence of power. There are 7 principles by which a drifting life becomes a directed one. These principles have built fortunes, strengthened character, and transformed ordinary men into men of influence. This is not a lesson in tidiness. It is a lesson in dominion. The power to think with purpose, to plan with precision, to act without hesitation, and to live in obedience to laws that produce success. The disorganized man spends his life reacting. The organized man spends his life creating. One is forever repairing yesterday. The other is building tomorrow. And the dividing line between them is not chance. It is law. The first principle is the law of definite purpose. No man can organize his life until he has organized his aim. The person who does not know what he wants cannot build order, because all order must move toward a destination. A vague mind produces vague results. A definite mind produces power. The man who drifts from desire to desire, from distraction to distraction, never gathers enough force to become effective. But the man who chooses one clear purpose and holds to it with persistence begins at once to align his thoughts, his habits, and his hours. Purpose is the starting point of all achievement. It simplifies decision. It removes confusion. It gives the mind a commanding center around which all lesser actions may be arranged. Without purpose, the mind becomes a battleground of competing impulses. One moment you want success, the next moment you want comfort. 1 hour you seek peace, the next you submit to distraction. That is not weakness alone. That is lack of definite aim. Write your purpose in plain language. Reduce it to one clear statement, not a scattered list of wishes, but one ruling objective. Read it morning and night. Impress it upon your subconscious mind until it becomes the central organizing force of your life. Once purpose becomes fixed, time ceases to be your enemy. You begin to ask of every action, does this serve my aim or does it weaken it? And with that question, confusion begins to disappear. The second principle is the law of organized planning. A purpose without a plan is only desire waiting to die. Desire must be translated into structure. It must be arranged into steps, duties, priorities, and time commitments. The man who says he wants success but has no plan for the day is not preparing for success. He is merely admiring it from afar. Every great achievement begins in imagination, but it reaches reality only through organized planning. A plan gives direction to energy. It turns hope into movement. It takes the invisible and gives it form. The man who works without a plan is ruled by mood. The man who works with a plan is ruled by principle. Take your chief aim and break it into action.
What must be done this month? This week? Today? What must be learned? What must be built?
What must be removed? Put it in writing. Give it order. The mind finds peace when it knows what comes next. Anxiety often survives only where decision has not yet been made. And remember this. No plan is perfect at birth. Plans grow stronger through action. If the first plan fails, build another. If that one falters, revise again. Temporary defeat is not failure unless it is accepted as final. The man of organized planning does not abandon his aim because the path changes. He changes the plan and continues forward. The third principle is the law of controlled attention. There are men who direct their attention, and there are men whose attention is directed by everything around them. The first class builds. The second class drifts. Your attention is your greatest form of mental capital. Whatever you continually focus upon grows in influence over your life. Whatever you neglect weakens. Therefore, to control attention is to control destiny. The average mind is constantly invaded by noise, fear, gossip, memory, irritation, comparison, endless stimulation. Such a mind cannot produce power because its energy is dissipated. But the disciplined mind learns to hold itself to one thought, one task, one purpose at a time. That concentration becomes strength. When you give your full attention to the thing before you, you increase accuracy, peace, and speed. You conserve nervous energy. You think more clearly. You decide more wisely. The man who cannot hold his mind on one objective for long will always feel busy and yet remain unproductive. Guard your attention as you would guard treasure. Refuse entry to thoughts that weaken purpose. Refuse the habit of divided effort. The mind becomes powerful when it is concentrated, just as sunlight becomes fire when focused through a lens. The fourth principle is the law of daily discipline. Success is not created in dramatic moments. It is created in repeated acts of ordered behavior. The world itself moves in rhythm. The sun rises by law. The seasons change by law. Nature does not negotiate with mood. It obeys rhythm. And the man who wishes to achieve enduring success must do the same. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect made visible. It is the habit of doing what ought to be done whether emotion agrees or not. The weak man acts only when he feels inclined. The strong man acts because he has decided. Build a daily pattern. Let there be an hour for thought, an hour for concentrated work, an hour for review. Let your important actions occur by appointment with yourself, not by accident. Routine, when built around purpose, is not confinement. It is liberation from chaos. A man who trains himself to begin on time, to finish what he starts, to review his day, and to keep his word to himself becomes a force. Why? Because he no longer wastes power in inner argument. His habits carry him where lesser men rely on emotion. The fifth principle is the law of emotional control. No man can live in orderly fashion while his emotions remain uncontrolled. Emotion is power, but power unguided becomes destruction. Fear, anger, envy, resentment, worry, all of these disorganize the mind. They scatter judgment. They distort perspective. They weaken decision. The successful man does not deny emotion. He directs it. He understands that fear may be transmuted into caution, desire into ambition, anger into constructive energy, and faith into action. Emotional control does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming composed. It means remaining master of yourself when circumstances invite you to lose command. When trouble comes, pause before response. When criticism comes, measure it before receiving it. When fear arises, confront it with purpose. Ask yourself, what thought must I accept now in order to remain the master of my own mind? That one question can save you years of confusion. The calm man appears powerful because he is powerful. He has learned that no outward disorder can conquer the mind that refuses inward disorder. Self-control is one of the highest forms of organized living. The sixth principle is the law of service and increase. No man succeeds alone, and no lasting success is built upon selfishness. Life operates through exchange. Value must circulate. Service must circulate. Thought, labor, encouragement, money, opportunity all increase when they move through useful channels. The man who gives more value than he is paid for begins to build an invisible reserve of power. He acquires skill, trust, reputation, and influence. He becomes the kind of person to whom greater opportunity naturally comes. This is not sentiment, it is law. Render useful service wherever you are. Do your work with thoroughness. Solve problems. Lighten burdens. Improve conditions. Give without keeping a constant account. For the world eventually makes room for the person who makes himself useful in an uncommon degree. Service also organizes the heart. It lifts a man beyond self-pity. It places his energy into contribution. And wherever contribution increases, abundance begins to gather. The man who asks first, "How may I become more valuable?" is already on the road to organized prosperity. The seventh principle is the law of self-examination and growth. No life remains orderly for long without reflection. The man who never stops to examine himself repeats mistakes by habit. The man who reviews his conduct, his thinking, and his progress grows wiser with each passing season. At the close of the day, sit in silence and ask, "What did I do today that moved me toward my purpose? Where did I permit drift? What thought weakened me? What action strengthened me? What lesson did life attempt to teach me?" This habit of self-examination is one of the greatest powers available to any person. It turns experience into instruction. It converts error into wisdom. It makes tomorrow better than today, because it does not allow today to pass without meaning. Growth is not accidental. It is intentional. The man who reads, thinks, reflects, and corrects himself daily becomes increasingly difficult to defeat, because he is always improving his methods, refining his judgment, and strengthening his character. And now you can see the whole structure. Purpose gives direction, planning gives form, attention gives force, discipline gives rhythm, emotional control gives stability, service gives increase, reflection gives renewal. These seven principles do more than organize time. They organize power. They take the scattered elements of life and bring them into cooperation. They make thought more deliberate, action more effective, and character more dependable. They transform a man from a reactor into a creator. The organized life is not rigid, it is strong. It is not narrow, it is directed. It does not remove freedom. It gives freedom substance. For the man who lives without order is not free at all. He is merely available to every distraction, every impulse, every passing mood. But the man who lives by principle becomes the architect of his own results. So tonight, do not merely admire these ideas. Put them to work. Write your chief purpose. Build tomorrow's plan. Choose the one task that matters most. Guard your attention. Keep your emotions under command. Render more service than expected. And before sleep, review your day in honesty. Do this not once, but daily. For success is not a single act. It is a habit of organized thinking followed by organized action. If you will live by these laws, the confusion that once ruled your days will begin to fade. Your mind will grow calmer. Your decisions will grow stronger. Your work will gain momentum. Your confidence will no longer depend upon opinion or circumstance, but upon the knowledge that you are in command of yourself.